welcome to the Diamond Discussions MLB Baseball podcast and episode 4. Recording this here Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving, and Ethan Carter alongside John Carter here with you. How you doing?
Hey, folks.
Great opening. Is that new? You gonna do that from now on? That'd be lit. All right, let's get into some Diamond discussions, as they say. A lot of action in baseball this week. A lot more than we've had over the last couple of weeks. A lot of people saying the stove is just starting to heat up. We're about 2 weeks away from the winter meetings in Las Vegas, and a big trade for the Yankees and the Mariners, as well as a couple of.
Excuse me.
Nice. That's a good way to start.
Trying to make it so loud.
We're gonna do the poll questions first, and we had 3 of them. And number 1 is, who is the best starting pitcher on the market? I want to get your opinion on this as well. Who would you pick out of these 4 that I listed? Nathan Eovaldi, Patrick Corbin, and Dallas Keuchel, and I don't know why I said and before Keuchel, Charlie Morton, and there was 11 votes. We don't have a huge fan base yet, but we're working towards that. 64% of the vote goes Corbin, 9 each for Keuchel and Morton, and then 18 for Eovaldi. What are your thoughts? I think I would go Corbin, just for the record.
Yeah, I would also go Corbin. He had a pretty stellar year. The lefty factor, because a lot of teams, they enjoy having lefties in the rotation. Eovaldi, of course, had a good postseason, but there's the injury-prone factor in the past couple seasons. But yeah, I'd definitely go with Corbin.
Yeah, I would agree there. Writing down my notes. Okay, here we go. Poll question number 2: who's the best bullpen arm on the free agent market? 12 votes: Andrew Miller, Craig Kimbrell, Zach Britton, Adam Ottavino. 50% go Kimbrell. That's a little surprising to me. 33% go Miller. 0% go Britton. And 17% Ottavino. What are your thoughts? I think real quick for the record, just so I can get my quick little 2 cents in, I think I would go Kimbrell as well, but I'm a little surprised that the vote was so overwhelming because Adam Ottavino had a really strong year last year.
Well, I think it kind of plays down to not necessarily who's the best arm, but who's the best fit for the teams, because a lot of teams need closers, and Kimbrell performed, not classic lights out Kimbrell, but he was still really good Kimbrell. But Miller he was hurt for a little bit this year, so I don't know. I still think Andrew Miller will be a good scoop because of his versatility and his multi-inning stretches. The lefty bullpen arm, but it's going to come down to the best fit for a team, which a lot of teams need closers. So,
all right. The next one was another interesting one, of course. Which team makes the biggest moves this offseason, in your opinion? Phillies, Yankees, Cardinals, or Giants? 3-way tie between the Phils, the Yanks, and the Cardinals. I think the Yankees are going to make the big splash because they're going to get another pitcher. We're going to mention the trade here soon that they made earlier this week, which was huge. And they could be a player for Machado, I think.
Yeah,
they have the most money.
Usually the Yankees are making splashes. Lately, it's been the past few seasons. It's been the trade market.
The reason that I wouldn't say the Giants here is because I think Farhan Zaidi coming in from the Dodgers, I think he might have a different plan than what people think the Giants might have. I'm not sure that they're gonna have the exact plan to win now, like a lot of people thought, like to go after a guy like Bryce Harper, which could be a good piece for them, but do you really think Harper's going to want to go there, number 1, past history with the Giants, and number 2, it's not really a win-now situation per se. Let's move forward here to discuss, real quick, a couple of, I just want to do a little house cleaning here before we get into the rumors and actual things that went down real quick. Steve Pearce re-signing, I believe it was a 1-year... was it 8.25 or 6.25 $1 million deal with the Red Sox, obviously the World Series MVP. I think that's a good fit, and I think it was a good thing for him to sign back with the Red Sox. Yeah, weird notification there. Next up, we're going to discuss the Yankees and the Mariners. We mentioned a couple podcasts ago, I believe it was episode 2, the Mariners potentially selling this offseason and moving some key pieces, per se, the likes of James Paxton, Edwin Diaz, Gene Segura, Kyle Seager. And they move James Paxton going to the Yankees, duly noted. The Yankees into the offseason needing 2 starting pitchers. They've gone after that. We're going to discuss who their second potential option could be. Justice Sheffield, a big prospect, lefty arm in the Yankees organization, heading over to the Mariners. What are your thoughts on the Paxton deal?
Yeah, I think it's it's classic Cashman. You know, I mean, making a solid trade for a need that they have, a pressing need, I guess. Needing another frontline starter along Severino. But I don't know. I kind of feel like the Mariners could have gotten more, possibly.
I mean, Sheffield's a pretty good prospect. And Paxton, what does he have, like 2 years of control left or something?
I mean, definitely the Mariners are going to need pitching, so. But, yeah. Really good thing for Paxton because, he's sort of broken out this past season, and he's
no-hitter in Toronto this year.
He's he's 30 probably now, gonna be.
No, he's not 30.
27, 28.
Let's look this up, folks. We don't know what we're talking about, so let's see.
But talking about the Mariners and them selling aspect.
I think they'll hold on to Haniger and Diaz.
Well, I think it's. They're not in.
He is 30. Okay.
They're not in win now mode, but I think it's kind of crazy that they want to hold on to Diaz.
Well, I think what DePoto said was tear a little bit down now, be ready in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah, I guess Diaz is
Diaz will be
26,
27 by then. 28.
25 or whatever he is.
Yeah, for the record, I think the Yankees did a really good job here. I think this is a good guy to go after because I would assume that the price for Corey Kluber was a lot higher than what this is. I think that was reported that they wanted Andujar,
plus
Florial.
Yeah, the Indians.
Sheffield.
The Indians are still good.
I think it was maybe pick 2 between Florial, Andujar, and Sheffield, and yeah, it's just too much. I think so. Yeah, I think the Yankees did a good job.
Another thing about the Mariners though is that they do have some of their starters are older. Nelson Cruz free agent, Robinson Cano, Segura's not young, but definitely probably trying to just get a little younger while they can and compete in a couple of years.
Moving right along the latest rumors in free agency, haven't heard too much. It's more been on the trade front, and I think that's how it's going to be until the winter meetings, until we see some stars align with some of the big free agents and the markets all figured out for all the pitchers and whatnot. There was a rumor earlier, though, from John Heyman tweeted. I wouldn't read too much into this, but it was a baseball executive, a higher up type of exec, saying that he believes that the Yankees and the Phillies will each get either Machado or Harper. So assuming Machado goes to the Yankees and Harper will go to the Phillies. I wouldn't read too much into this. What are your thoughts?
It's just hard telling because there's no real. There probably has not been a concrete offer yet.
No.
It's pretty much just going to be a bidding war. And, of course, we know the teams that are going to be interested, but we'll just have to see what it all comes down to after the winter meetings.
So we have heard some stuff going on with Noah Syndergaard, second best starter on the Mets. Very good, very young still. Thor. I believe I heard the Padres potentially being a suitor for him to trade for him. That would make sense, honestly. The Padres have been adding some pieces lately, and I think adding a young arm like that to your rotation, to an already young rotation, Padres are looking pretty good for the future, I think. So I think the Mets and the Padres should try to strike a deal, especially on the Padres end. Try to get that guy, Noah Syndergaard. What are your thoughts on the Mets shopping Syndergaard?
Well, it's probably a good thing for the Mets because they've had, the past couple seasons, they've had their string of injuries, and Syndergaard is no stranger to it. I don't know if I would necessarily see the Padres trading for him, though, because they would be giving up a couple pretty good young pieces, I'm sure. I could definitely see him being traded to a bigger, a team that's more in win now mode, like possibly Astros, Brewers, maybe Cubs, Dodgers. I'm looking at the rumors right now, but I don't know. I mean, it would probably be a good thing for the Padres, but I don't know if I could see them because the Mets would probably be asking a lot, don't you think? Isn't that what you said?
I would assume so, yeah. Moving right along to another trade rumor. Paul Goldschmidt's been a name we've been hearing a lot about. He's got 1 year left before free agency. I'm sure most teams that would trade for him would try to work out an extension, but if not, we'll see what happens. I think if you could get an extension in place with him, maybe pay more for him. But the three teams we've heard about have been the Astros, Cardinals, and Twins, who have checked in and had some talks with the D-backs front office on this. First, we'll start out with the Twins and Goldschmidt. How do you think that would fit?
Well, I don't know if it would necessarily.
I believe the Twins had like the worst OPS plus or OPS at first base last year.
Yeah, they definitely need some pop in that position. The Twins, they've sort of been retooling. They almost made the playoffs in 2016, was it? Or they did make the playoffs, or they were close?
They almost made it in 17, I think.
Didn't they make it in 15 or something? I mean, they've been close. I don't know if they would necessarily want to trade for a big bat like that and not have the tools of the players to win. I just don't see it happening with the Twins.
What do you think about the Astros and Goldschmidt? Because I'll give my opinion real quick. I think this would be a perfect fit. You know why? You're adding a Goldschmidt-type bat to your lineup with an infield already of Altuve, Correa, Bregman. You have Gurriel stepping into more of a utility role with Gonzalez not coming back. Drop my pen, excuse me. Give me my pen.
I also think that would be a good fit. And the Astros certainly
if they don't trade for Goldschmidt, trade for Real Muto. I'm just saying.
The Astros certainly have some young players that they could put together in a package.
Well,
the Diamondbacks.
They wanted Paxton, and the Mariners said, "Give us Forrest Whitley, or we're not doing it." And Luno, the Astros GM, he said, "Nope, psych." You would have thought. But yeah, I think this would be a great fit for the Astros and Goldschmidt. I think this would work out well. We go over to the third team we've heard things about, the Cardinals and Paul Goldschmidt. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, of course, the Cardinals still need that big bat.
You're going to hear that every offseason for the next 20 years, I'm
sure. I mean, the Cardinals, they do have multiple players who can play first base. And they really need a lefty bat, which is why people have been so big on Harper. I don't know. If I'm the Cardinals, I wouldn't want to make – like, they already made a pretty sizable trade last offseason. Ozuna.
The only way you go after Goldschmidt is if Harper signs somewhere else, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say is it would kind of be a last-ditch move. Wait until – the other, like Donaldson, Harper, Machado, see what happens with them.
Or you sign Harper, you move Fowler, then you probably have to move Tyler O'Neill in the Diamondbacks trade. Give the D-backs, like O'Neill?
Which I don't think the Cardinals will be willing to do that, though.
I think they would. If they already have Harper, they're definitely trading O'Neill or Dexter or both. I think that would make the most sense. Why not? How young? You could trade O'Neill and get away with it if you sign Harper.
Could move Wong too if you get Goldschmidt. Move Carpenter over to second.
They're not going to have Jerko start a third. I can guarantee you that. They would definitely move Carpenter to third, I think. Your outfield with Ozuna, you could probably work out an extension with him, or you could try. Bader, he's not going to be available for free agency for 5 years. Then you have Harper. That's a very young and really good outfield. If they sign Harper, that automatically becomes one of the best outfields in the National League by far. You're talking about Ozuna, who will probably have a better season. He's got a big bat.
After his shoulder heals, yeah.
And he can hopefully he can field again.
Gold glove.
Bader's electric, fast, can field like no other.
He's still developing. He's still going to become a better hitter.
You have Bryce Harper in right field, a cannon for an arm.
Potentially.
An absolute unit of a hitter. That would be a great outfield. And then you get, think of this. You got Molina behind the plate. You got Goldschmidt at first. You got Wong at second. You have DeYoung and Carpenter on the left side of the infield. Then Ozuna, Bader, Harper. That's a really good starting nine right there. And it's a lot better than they've rolled out in a long time.
But, I mean, pretty much they've been saying that their first priority is going to be bullpen.
But, didn't hear that, but okay.
Well, I mean, that's the first thing they want to retool, right?
Why do you keep saying retool so much?
Well, that's the
Can someone go back and listen and see how many times he said retool? You got to be up to like 15, and we're only 4 episodes in. All right, Jim Hickey. Is his name Jim? I don't know. Hickey steps down as the Cubs hitting coach. Remember, they fired. Wait, was it pitching? It was pitching. Why did I write hitting on here? Was it pitching? Because Chili Davis was the hitting coach.
Yeah, they got a new hitting coach already.
Yeah, they got him really fast, and all Cub fans were mad about it. But I think it's the Cubs lose their pitching coach and hitting coach from last year. You have to ask the question: what is next for Joe Madden? He didn't. They're not. They said they. Theo said he wasn't going to discuss an extension with Madden until after the season. What does that tell you? If they don't perform this season and do as well as expected, I would assume Madden's out the door. If they do well, and they play well, and they have a good year, they probably sign an extension. So I think Madden is going to be on some thin ice this season.
Could be his contract year.
And our last topic of the podcast is going to be the Tampa Bay Rays DFAing C.J. Cron, who hit 30 home runs last season. 30, by the way. And he is gone. I don't really understand the move. They're moving room for prospects. I think the Rays are going to be a pretty good team next year, but what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't know. He did have a good year last year. He hasn't always been the most consistent player, but you would think that the Rays, I mean, because Cron, I know they've had him at first base and DH. You think they would want to keep him because, I mean, he's not old necessarily. It was also just a very curious move, especially knowing like last year they did the same to Corey Dickerson. So who knows what's going on?
Prospects, I'm assuming, and I think they'll probably end up with a guy like Nelson Cruz in the offseason. I want to go over this real quick. Top offseason priority for all 30 teams. We did this last year, and we did this last week on the podcast. I'm going to go over every single team's quote-unquote needs. This is from ESPN article. They said the Orioles needs a manager this offseason. Red Sox late game bullpen, so you potentially bring back a guy like Kimbrel. The White Sox need outfielders. Bryce Harper. I think Nick Markakis, AJ Pollock would also be good fits. Their projected payroll is only $54 million. My God. Indians outfield, I think they could probably be a good fit for listen to this. This is actually a good point. The Indians appear to be looking to trim payroll, so any outfielder, which would likely come via a blockbuster trade. involving one of their starting pitchers. Kyle Schwarber or Ian Happ fit. The Padres have a logjam of outfielders with Reyes, Renfroe, Margot, plus a deep farm system. But none of those guys are surefire solutions. Then the Tigers need power. Astros need a catcher. JT Realmuto is perfect for that. Royals could use power hitting and power pitching, it says. Whit Merrifield could potentially be on the move, they say. But their GM has said that he's not on the table. Angels, every single year, folks, they need starting pitching. Every single year. They could probably use another bat around Trout, too, if I'm being honest. We'll see how much. I think Brad Ausmus, the new Angels manager, said that they hope to have Ohtani back within the first couple months of the season. Twins need infielders. Guys like Donaldson, Lowry, Moustakas, LeMahieu, Cabrera could all be fits. Yankees, obviously, we already talked about this, starting pitching. A's could also use starting pitching with reacquiring Sonny Gray is already a hot rumor for the A's. That would be interesting. I think that would be good. The Mariners could use youth, so that basically means trading some of those big guys away for some younger guys. We talked about the Rays. Nelson Cruz would be a very nice fit for them. Andrew McCutchen could be a nice guy to put out there. The Rangers could use starting pitching. Obviously, we'll see what happens with them. The Blue Jays also starting pitching over to the National League. D-backs, center field. How about, it says the Astros and Cardinals are obvious landing spots. However, the Cardinals.
For who? Goldschmidt?
Yeah. The Astros and Cardinals are obvious landing spots for Goldschmidt. The Cardinals, however, aren't trading Harrison Bader. Jake Marisnick could be a part of the deal for Houston. Greinke would be more difficult moving him. The Braves could use a star. That could be said for a lot of people. Kluber could be a nice veteran for them. Cubs need bullpen. Potentially moving Schwarber or Happ or Russell. The Reds starting pitching, I think they could bring in maybe a guy like Keuchel, Eovaldi, Lance Lynn, Wade Miley. Thoughts? Rockies center field, Pollock would be a great fit there.
What about Blackman?
I think they probably move Blackman to left field. He has no arm. Let Cargo walk, move Parra to right field, Blackman to left, Pollock to center. Parra has a good arm. Dodgers need bullpen. That's obvious. Their bullpen was not very good at all. Joe Kelly? Huh?
Joe Kelly
Dodgers,
back to the Cardinals.
Ottavino, Miller, or Britton could also make sense. The Marlins need a new sculpture, it says. Brewers could use a catcher, Realmuto, in a trade, although you'd have to start with top prospect Keston Hiura to get him. Grandal and Ramos are also two free agent catchers. Mets need depth. Deal Syndergaard, maybe get some guys back for him. Phillies, it says Bryce Harper and or Manny Machado. A lot of people are really high on the Phillies landing. I think it'd be very funny if the Phillies didn't get either. Hate to say it, Phillies fans, but there's way too much, Everyone's just convinced one of them's going to the Phillies.
I mean, even without them,
yeah, this is my
a couple of years, they're gonna be good. They got some younger guys too, not even in the bigs.
Okay, but Machado and Harper would really help.
Oh yeah.
And their GM said they were going to be stupid with their money spending, so that's their owner. They're going to be. That's a real owner thing to say.
Is this like in no order at all? Like not by division?
Pirates middle infield. So Starlin Castro. Cardinals, a big bopper. How many times have we heard that? Goldschmidt's a perfect one-year fix, and reports already say the Cardinals have talked. They would slide Carpenter over to third. Of course, simply signing Machado or Harper also works. That would break with Cardinals free agent history. BS.
Matt Holliday.
But team president Bill DeWitt
Jim Emmons, Mark McGuire.
Lit. But team president Bill DeWitt III said we could do it. Sure, we have the payroll room. And Donaldson would also be a worthwhile gamble.
We've got the cap.
Padres impact talent, so like Gene Segura and Mike Leake from the Mariners for Will Myers. I don't really understand that at all, but that has been a rumor. And less likely, but plenty intriguing, Noah Syndergaard. Giants, a power bat in the outfield. Harper convincing him to come to San Francisco is another matter. Outside of Harper, however, there isn't another obvious power bat in free agency, so Giants would have to go plan B and go after Pollock or Brantley. Starting pitching for the Nationals, so Happ, Morton, Keuchel, potential. Miley, Holland, Pomeranz also guys you get as well. And that was the last part that we wanted to cover on this podcast. Overall, after reading that or hearing me read that, John, what are your thoughts? Any thoughts?
About the list or the podcast?
Just everything you just listed.
I mean, I'm excited to
see this all unravel. We'll see you next week.
See some more substance, some more traction.
I'm sure we'll have another trade or
it's gonna heat up
or deeper rumors next week. And the week after that's winter meetings, so we're gonna see a lot of things going on. We want to thank everybody for listening. If you're listening, whatever platform you're listening on, make sure to follow or subscribe, whatever it has you do. Like the podcast, share the podcast if you're really feeling that frisky. But make sure to do so. And we want to thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday. Everyone have a happy, safe Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next Thursday for episode 5.